right, Osei here. We are back again with the CEO of DDM Group, Neil Nelson, man. Just to get a little bit of insight. Recent news case, Mayor Eric Adams, Neil. Charges have been dropped, federal corruption charges. This ain't anything light at that. And obviously, we know about the relationship he has with our current president, Donald Trump. And a lot of people are screaming foul in some ways. I just wanted to get your take on that. Give us some of your thoughts on what this means.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that there's an interesting history here where several black mayors from large cities have been the focus of investigations and charges by the federal government, whether it's Kilpatrick in Detroit, and we've seen similar cases in D.C. and Atlanta in the past against black mayors. I try to look for, before this conversation, look for how many white mayors have been charged. And there are a few, but they're a lot smaller profiles than these major city cases against black mayors. And so I think that there perhaps is an element here of over policing, as we see with the black community, that this may be a case where the federal government maybe has an extra sharp lens as it looks at black institutional figures such as mayors and other elected officials. But that said, I still think that there's something to be said about the power of these people in this position. One of the things that I'm often concerned with is the power that these individuals have to do the work for their constituencies, especially their black constituencies. And there's a part of the democratic process that we emphasize in the black community is the voting part. But voting in a democracy is only one important step in the process. The other part is being able to hold your elected officials accountable and to make them work for you as a people. And in this multicultural democracy of ours, black folks need to put as much energy and attention in getting out the vote as we do in organizing to have the ability to hold people accountable. And a part of that accountability process is that we have the power to protect those officials that we elect that are in position because we choose them, and also to get them out because they are not doing our bidding as constituencies. And I think that's a major concern of mine now that the memo that came down from the AG's office at the federal level saying that the reason this case should be dropped is because, well, there's an election coming, and for the mayor of New York City, and well, we need him to help Donald Trump in his fight illegal immigration, right? And so that's an interesting take on what he's being freed up to do, as opposed to being freed up to help to focus on the agenda that serves the people of New York City.
Seems as if Eric Adams, do you think he could be on the verge of a party switch, or is he simply going to do the bidding of the president under the Democratic banner or Democratic Party's banner?
Yeah, look, I think that there's certainly evidence that when people find that their interest is better served in another party, they make the adjustments, if you will, and fill out the card in the right way because of where their allies are. And so I wouldn't be surprised if something of that sort happens. But I think the takeaway for black folks should be, how do we think about getting more out of this process? I've been through many election cycles, right? And the one thing I've noticed over and over again is that we make a big deal about, as black people that is, and so-called black leaders, about getting black folks out to vote. And we go silent after the election is over. What I'm suggesting here is that what we're seeing from the relationship between Trump and Eric Adams is one where someone need protection and someone's able to provide the protection. And when you get that kind of arrangement, folks are going to do the bidding of people who protect them, not just who elect them. And I think that we should, as the black community, ask ourselves and ask those people who are so vigilant about getting us out to vote during election time, which is, I think, is the right thing to do. Where are they when we need to get our agenda and our interest addressed? And a part of that process is making sure that we can protect people like Eric Adams if he is doing our bidding. And if he's not doing our bidding, we shouldn't have to wait for the federal government or the president to step in. We should make sure that we have the mechanisms, the legal mechanisms, to get him out of office. And not just him, but any elected official, right? When we had President Obama as in the White House, we didn't get much out of him as a black elected official. And we didn't get that because we didn't have the mechanisms, the processes, the infrastructure in our community to pressure him to do the things that we need him to do. And the same thing's going to happen to Trump, and it'll happen to every other official at the federal level, at the state level, and the city level. Because at the end of the day, our political organization in the black community is oriented around voting, and then nothing, at least nothing that our people can point to as wins, as getting any kind of benefit from the process. We have to stop that. We have to get in the business of being able to build political infrastructure that moves beyond the vote to maintaining the relationship and pressuring the relationship to get out of it what our people need to move forward.